KBLA Talk 1580. I never should have told Miles I was having my James Brown era and my Warren G, Nate Dogg era. I never should have told him. But I'm actually glad I did. And we are talking politics. We're going to be talking politics until I say about June 5th or so. Something like that. Right now we have a man in the studio who's running for mayor. He says he's a proud Angeleno who's lived the real LA, not from a limo window, but from the ground up. He's been a chief creative officer, led multidisciplinary teams, and managed multi-million-dollar budgets. He's also, he says, planning to bring marginalized voices into the forefront. Bryant Acosta, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you doing?
I'm blessed to be here.
Yeah, well, great to have you in. And, of course, I looked at your website. You actually have policies detailed on there, or
Yep.
outlines of policy ideas there. So we'll get a chance to look at some of those. But first, let's find out who you are for those not familiar. Bryant, what is it that you have done? You said Chief Creative Officer. What's that background?
Wow. It's a very long background.
Yeah.
I've, went to school for graphic design, Art Institute of LA, graduated in 2004, I believe. Oh my gosh, it's been such a long time. But, learning that I was able to work in fashion, construction, film and TV, agency work. So, I am LA. It really opened up a lot. It really opened up a lot of doors for me to be able to know all the programs, evolve from that, and then get into that executive leadership roles. So I'm self-built. Came from a blue collar family. My parents let me. Helped me with what they could, but the rest, was able to accomplish myself. So I'm very proud of that. And that's when I say I have that lived in experience, I believe that the majority of us that live here also have that experience. So we need people that reflect that in leadership.
And it sounds like a great career. Film, fashion, what most people come to Los Angeles striving to be part of. Why would you pivot to politics?
Oh, so actually, after that, so I call that my transition, because I also currently am a small business owner. I got out of corporate because of the rat race. You never work hard enough. You never are in your seat long enough. You're never just those unappreciated moments that I think a lot of people feel with their employers. I said, you know what, I've learned enough. And I started a very successful production company that focuses on art, music, and fashion. So my clients are like in hospitality, and being able to launch that and give a focus on and platform to minorities. So women, LGBTQ, people of color, all of that is encompassed in my small business to be able to give them a platform and let them shine. But that's something that I'm currently working on. But I know it feels like eons ago and glamorous, the corporate life. But again, it wasn't who I was anymore, and I needed to evolve, and that's what I pivoted to.
As a small business owner myself, I know that it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can never have enough energy, time, or resources to put into a small business. Again, why would you want to leave that and go into politics?
Yes. So now that pivot. Well, actually, I never saw myself as a politician, for being 100. I think that I just looked at the field and I just felt like there's nobody that has that systems background, that executive background, but also that lived in experience background. That's a perfect trifecta. And given the way that my generation has been impacted by the economy, by things happening here in Los Angeles, I wanted to be the voice for them. And I didn't feel that it was fair, because I'm like, I have all this experience. I know like LA like the back of my hand because I'm born and raised, but I also am bringing that executive level experience. It's not fair for me to at least not try.
And when you say, you know, I guess when I think about a job like mayor or president, I think a lot of us, it's one of those things where I imagine, I've never held elected office, but imagine it's one of those things you think, man, I could do that better. But then when you get there, you may find out, it's just kind of like in the private sector, you get to just make decisions. When you're in government, you got to go through this protocol and that protocol and this committee and that approval. And so do you have any fear that of the sort of Monday morning quarterback syndrome going from the private sector into politics?
I'm sure there'll be some of that, but I think that we need to think outside of the box. And that is one of my specialties and superpowers, is being able to say, okay, if we have a system, how can we work around that to get to what we need to? And also, because the crux of my platform is to create systems for tomorrow, because we're still operating on stuff from like way back in the day, and I feel like those systems are only benefiting the status quo. And so I think being able to come in with a fresh perspective and an outsider look might be what LA needs to be able to get us on the right track and build those systems for tomorrow.
It might be. I mean, I think some of us are a bit shell-shocked after the outsider approach that we've seen in the White House. Yeah,
but I feel like that's apples and oranges to what I'm offering, because we're talking about celebrity versus accomplished person from the ground up, right? When you look at people that are in that position of power, most of them are coming from, mommy and daddy money. And, there's a big difference between a working class person that's been able to elevate themselves and understands how much a gallon of milk costs and how the struggle is with me, my family, my neighbors, my community, versus a person like Donald Trump, for example. It's night and day.
And when you say my generation, I'm assuming millennial?
Millennial. Elder millennial.
Okay, the leading edge of millennials.
Yeah.
And how is your generation not being properly, or let me put this in the positive, how would you better represent your generation in politics?
I think being able to make, first of all, LA more affordable, give us an opportunity at housing again, to buy homes. Having a mayor that actually understands how technology works to be able to bring us into the forefront of where we need to be. I mean, so many things are driven now by technology, and if we don't have leaders that understand that, we're going to get left behind. I mean, look at the difference now between how China operates as a country versus the United States. There's a big discrepancy there.
Well, there's a lot of discrepancies, including human rights, but
yes, human rights definitely, but technologically they're
understood. But every single candidate for mayor and every mayor says they're doing that. I mean, let's go back to Garcetti. He was supposed to be the tech mayor, right?
But does he have a tech background?
I mean, I don't know.
No.
But everything. The emphasis was we'll fix everything. We'll fix the technology. We'll fix the websites. We'll improve the apps.
Which they didn't do. I mean, right now, you try to go pull a permit, you have to go to 5 different websites. There's no streamlined process. So even just fixing things as simple as that is going to take people like you and me that have small businesses, fix it so that it's easier. We're actually able to see where the process is. I don't know if you were able to see, and maybe your viewers want to check it out, but if you go to my website at acostaforla.com, you could see I've created a what I'm calling the LA Now app. And so
I did see that, yes.
And so I did a mock-up, and I have the UI and UX ready to go day one.
For people who don't know, UI and UX?
User experience, yeah, and then the design of it. And so essentially in this app, you're able to do a lot of the streamlined processes that we're talking about. So I hear a lot of candidates even right now talking about, oh, well, we need to do this and this. I've actually already done the work and we're ready to go day one. So being able to get a visual representation of how this is actually going to work and how we're going to execute it.
How is that different from the 311 app?
Well, the 311 app,
I think it's called My 311.
My 311, yes. So there's a lot of bugs to that, first of all. Second of all, I don't think it does as many, the features that it has is very limited in scope. And so if we can, we can just talk it through. So my LA Now app essentially is going to be a next-gen civics app. So the idea is that you're able to streamline permits like we talked about, but also if you can imagine, you have a dashboard where you would be able to geo-target your area for resources. One of the big things that Angelenos deal with right now is we don't know when there's a town hall. We don't know when, they're, if we're looking for resources for housing, you have to go digging for it. And I think that's done by design. So what I'm saying is let's give everybody the power in the palm of their hand. Also, you could get push notifications for jury duty. If you get towed, you would be able to get a notification of hey, your car just got towed. Now we're helping people save money on those impound fees because sometimes you don't know and you're having to pay $400, $500 to get your car out of the park, out of those impounds. Also, there's another feature that I'm really excited about, which is if you can imagine Yelp, but for leadership. And so being able to rate people in real time so that we can hold leaders accountable. I'm a firm believer in a digital Bill of Rights, but until Congress gets their act together, this is the next best thing, because we'd be able to say, hey, District 1, why did we spend, X amount of money on here and there's no progress? We need to have a town hall. Guess what? Now you get the notification. We're able to have it. And it also gives me, the mayor, a bully pulpit to be able to hold people accountable and say, hey, we need to recall you. So that's just another feature. Also, I think it's important to think about how we also use this technology to boost up small businesses. I've also added a feature in here that's an anti-Amazon feature where only local businesses can get on for a small fee. That to me is, a great way to be able to promote a lot of the small businesses in the city, mid-sized businesses.
It's the Met Gala feature.
Yeah, exactly. And, and it's what people are asking for. What is our government doing for us when we're giving them all this, when they're taking all this money? It's not even giving, it's taking now. And so I really want to be able to show results. And that's what my whole campaign is focused on. Talking
with Bryant Acosta. He is looking for your vote to be mayor of Los Angeles. We'll continue the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
You can't fix what you won't face.
And we face it every day.
This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand. Your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Things are changing fast and no one knows what comes next. Times like these make you realize just how important it is to be prepared. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. They're America's #1 most trusted resource for survival food, solar power, water filtration systems, and more. Go to preparewithamerica.com to unlock a special offer that'll help you get ready for whatever comes our way. Go to preparewithamerica.com to see the special offer right now. That's preparewithamerica.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We are talking with Bryant Acosta. He's a small business owner, LA creative, who is running to be mayor of Los Angeles. And we'll deep dive a little bit here into some of the things that you suggest, because one of the things you talked about already this morning is affordability. It's the big buzzword in Washington. It's the big buzzword everywhere because everything is expensive. And of course, we all want affordability, but it's not like you can wave a magic wand and make gas prices go down or spin around 3 times and suddenly housing will be affordable in Los Angeles. Looking at your restoring affordability on your website, which is acosta4la.com, F-O-R, acosta4la.com. Key actions: permanent affordable housing, end algorithmic price gouging, city-run grocery stores, vacancy tax on empty homes and commercial buildings. Vacancy tax seems pretty self-explanatory, although I don't know how you get it through with all the developers contributing to city council races.
Yeah, that part is going to be tricky, but we need somebody to champion it. Nobody's talked about it thus far. I haven't heard any of the people saying, hey, we should actually have this as a policy or something that to engage the public.
Vacancy tax would be if you don't rent or sell your property. If you don't rent out your property,
if you're
you
just
have
sitting
to pay.
there,
It doesn't. So it de-incentivizes just letting apartments sit there.
Yes, and this would be a structured one because I also, we're not trying to go after mom and pops. We're trying to go after the corporate landlords that are having the giant units with, tons of, apartments just sitting there vacant. But because it's a structured thing, it would be able to. We'd be able to incentivize the smaller people to continue renting their spaces as well. Without penalizing them.
We talk about city-run grocery stores. We heard about that in New York. It's one of the things Mamdani ran on. How do you do that here in LA? You've got some of the grocery stores are unionized, some are not. The places where there are food deserts, which is where affordability is a bigger challenge, seem like they might be more challenging to stand up a business like that. How would you do it? Yeah,
I would definitely go to the food desert areas to be able to start. I'm a firm believer in doing phases. I'd want to launch at least one to be able to pressure test it and look at, maybe we partner with a bodega, with a local grocer. But the idea behind this is to just be able to bring more competition into the market, because right now all people are just stuck to, the Krogers and the Albertsons and the Vons. And with the dynamic pricing that, people are starting to see, is just making everything really unaffordable. And I think that in my world, I see this as, yes, grocery store, but also a community hub, because this can service the community. I mean, I imagine having, full service kiosks where, older people in these communities can also go to be able to, get medications delivered to their house.
Inside of this city-run grocery store.
Exactly.
How do you end algorithmic price gouging?
Well, we need to pass an ordinance for it.
you pass an ordinance saying you can't do this in the city of LA. Algorithmic price gouging is where they decide what you can afford based on your online profile and then change the pricing, right?
Yes, exactly.
But how do you monitor that? How do you police it to make sure they're not doing it? You can say don't do this, but who's over there watching Amazon or whoever it is?
We have to have a public dashboard for that and an independent auditor to be able to make sure that we're staying on top of it.
And then permanent affordable housing, we all want that. I don't think there's anyone who's ever run for anything anywhere in California that hasn't asked that, promised that, or hoped for that. How do you do it, though?
So I've really been looking into these co-op models. I know we do a little bit of that, but I want to expand on that and take pre-existing, they're starting to do that now because it's an election year, but taking some of the empty buildings that we have and reformatting them so that we actually can turn those into co-op units. Also looking to prefab homes. I think the cost savings, I did the analysis, we'd save like 50%, and also we'd be able to build them in half the time if we were to work with prefab developers to be able to create these communities that would be affordable.
When you're talking about prefab homes, you're talking about tiny homes? Because I don't think they make prefab. Do they make prefab huge apartment buildings?
You can do it. Yeah, you can totally construct it with the containers.
Okay, container buildings. And where would these go?
So I know we have the NIMBYs and we have all these zoning, issues. So I think we'd have to take a look at that. But ideally, I'd want to actually move into the areas that aren't heavily influenced by these. So like Vernon, the outskirts of downtown LA. The beauty of LA is that we have so much capability to expand beyond the heavily populated areas, and so I would look to those to start there. But if I could bring $200,000, $400,000, and $600,000 units, that's affordable to my generation. That'll get people.
You're talking about homes for people to buy as opposed to renters.
Yes, because and if your listeners don't know, co-op communities or co-op buildings usually, the city will provide the land. There'll be a low interest rate, and then because the city is part of it, they're non-speculative, so that if you go, it's basically like renting an apartment, but you're actually buying it, so you're building equity, and that's the genius part, because now you're building wealth.
That's what they do in New York a lot, the co-ops where no one can afford the land.
Well, yeah, but that's New York. Here we could do it differently, and so I think about it that way, and I'm like, okay, well, I live in a studio apartment, and I make pretty good money. But it doesn't make sense for me to go buy $1 million home, be house poor, and then not be able to have a life. Like, that's the existential crisis that we're seeing. And so I'm like, okay, I would spend $200,000 or $400,000 or $600,000 for a prefab apartment complex that I would own. And then when I sell it, because it's non-speculative, I'd make a little bit of money on it, but the next generation would have access to it. So that's what I mean when I say permanent affordable housing, because we take the speculation out.
You're talking about for people that are in a position to purchase or would be in a position to purchase if it was affordable. What about renters?
So for renters, I think we need to be able to, do work with the current system that we have is just, it's too expensive. But I think having these options would inherently bring down the prices on renters because you would just have more on the market, right? And also with the vacancy tax initiative, we'd be able to have more units, which I think is going to bring down the price for people. And then also, if we're building these new communities, I think that people that are living in those apartment complexes that now have access to be able to buy these are going to be able to, we'll have more available units for people that are coming into our communities.
Do you support like a Costa-Hawkins, like the repeal of Costa-Hawkins, these rent control measures that we keep trying to pass in California and so far have not been able to do so?
I actually don't know. I haven't looked too much into that.
Okay. That's, repealing the policy that makes it where you can only do rent control on older buildings and doesn't allow rent different communities to set their own policies in regard to the more modern buildings. I think it's buildings built after 1980 or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that if something isn't working anymore, we should definitely, like ULA, there's parts of it that don't work. So I think we should relook at some of those things. And even this act that you're talking about, to be able to make it work for today.
Oh, we only have 30 seconds here, but if you just, before news, traffic, and sports, then we'll continue on the other side. But when you say parts of ULA aren't working, what do you mean by that?
So there's, I believe, a specific part that, because it's like the mansion tax, right? It hinders new development, right, for affordable housing. So I think like that's the part that I would look at. Okay.
I mean, I think that developers always say that, or you know, big sellers and buyers are always going to say it hinders development. Well, we've got news, traffic, and sports. We can finish that convo on the other side, and we've got a lot more policies and plans that we can unpack. We're talking with Bryant Acosta. He would like to be your mayor, Los Angeles. More straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Police are searching for 4 suspects linked to a series of hate crimes in Queens, New York. City Council Speaker Julie Menon condemned the acts.
We have a lot of work to do ahead, and this is why we fought so hard to pass this plan to combat anti-Semitism.
Swastikas and anti-Semitic graffiti were discovered at multiple sites in Rego Park and Forest Hills. President Trump is again taking aim at former President Barack Obama in a series of online posts. Trump shared an image accusing Obama of treason, reviving past claims tied to a 2009 meeting with the Saudi king. Obama's former aides have long disputed those accusations. And NBC has renewed The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins for a second season. The comedy starring Tracy Morgan, Erica Alexander, and Daniel Radcliffe was one of the network's biggest new hits this year. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Now at Big O Tires, save up to $170 on select sets of tires with paid installation using your Big O Tires and service credit card. Plus, synthetic oil changes start at just $39.99 through May 24th at Big O Tires.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It is painfully obvious that the Lakers need much more than a productive LeBron to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. LeBron was the only highlight for the Lakers in their 108-90 loss Tuesday night to OKC in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals. LeBron had a game-high 27 points and 6 assists. The rest of the Lakers were no-shows. Austin Reeves made only 3 of 16 shots. Marcus Smart was 4 of 15. Luke Kennard played 29 minutes off the bench, but made only 1 of 4 shots. DeAndre Ayton had 10 points, but he was scoreless in the second half. In addition to the shooting issues, the Lakers committed 17 turnovers. This is not the right formula to beat the defending NBA champs. OKC takes a 1-0 lead in the best of 7. Game 2 is Thursday night in OKC. A major upgrade in performance needs to happen for the Lakers if things are going to be different in Game 2. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcasts of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for health care, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angeleno, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
When did watching TV go from a way to relax to a complicated chore? Well, if you're sick of huge cable bills or endlessly searching for the show everyone's talking about, then welcome to Philo. Philo's the streaming service that respects both your time and your wallet, without needing to cut the stuff you actually love to watch. This means live TV for more than 70 channels like Hallmark, History, A&E, and Lifetime, plus a huge library of blockbuster movies and classic shows, and an easy-to-use unlimited DVR that lets you save anything you want and skip all the ads when you watch. The best part? You get all this for just $25 a month when you sign up at Philo.tv. No hidden fees, no long contracts, just a genuinely great deal. And new users can try it completely free for 7 days. So head to Philo.tv, that's PHILO.tv, and experience a better way to TV. Subscriptions auto-renew at monthly rate plus applicable taxes. Cancel anytime. See terms at Philo.tv.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back indeed. We're talking to Bryant Acosta. He's running to be mayor of Los Angeles. He is a creative, a millennial, and he's a small business owner. So one of the things I'm looking at here on your website, because you do go pretty far into detail on a lot of stuff here, on your ideas and your policy plans. Acosta4la.com is where you can find it. Talking about housing and the unhoused. One of the things you talk about is wildfire recovery, which of course is a huge flashpoint in this race because folks like to blame our current mayor for the fire. One of the things that you talk about is giving people money to fill the gaps between what their insurance is paying or not paying and what the actual cost of rebuilding is. You've also talked about speeding up permits. Mm-hmm. Again, these are things pretty much everyone would agree on. The question is the how. Where do those dollars come from?
Yeah, I mean, the last budget was what, $13 billion? How do we have the GDP of a small country and still don't have anything tangible like this to be able to say, hey, this is what we did for the community?
I mean, we got a lot of people. We got a lot of streets. We got a lot of cops. We like to spend 50% of our budget plus on police.
Yeah, and but a lot of that is liabilities, right? So we have to reform a lot of these systems.
The liabilities come out of the general fund. So yeah, that's a $1 billion somewhere.
That's huge.
Or $500 million, I should say.
But let's dissect this piece by piece, right? So I look at just from what our leadership has done in the past, like I look at stuff like Nithya. Nithya supported
Councilmember Raman, also running for mayor.
She supported the $1 million bathrooms. I don't know if you heard about this, but 2 bathrooms were installed in Runyon Canyon for $1 million. I just feel like that's such a waste. Having come from construction, I'm like, why didn't we just get prefab bathrooms for like $15,000 each from China, and then let's say we'll throw another 100 or 200,000 at the construction and piping or whatever needs to happen. How is that $1 million?
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. That's probably permitting, environmental studies, whatever, the union requirements are. I don't know, but I've seen enough of these stories. And of course, I don't want anybody to spend $1 million for a bathroom either. But then again, do we want to outsource to China?
Well, I'm just saying that's as an example. I mean, we could for sure get maybe prefab bathrooms here from an American source company. I'm just saying, like, if we want to save money, we have to look at all the places we could go to. I mean, and as a construction, as a developer, I mean, that's where we get a lot of our materials from, fashion and housing anyways. So, I think that, to me, that point is mute. It's more about how do we balance our budget and really, be able to do that. If we can create bathrooms for much less, guess what? Now we have money for those recovery services that you're talking about.
I mean, sadly, that $1 million is a drop in the bucket of the $14 billion budget and the massive deficit that we have right now. So how do we balance our budget? Would you be in favor of cutting law enforcement, repurposing some of those dollars?
So, well, before we move on to law enforcement, I think that, again, you say it's a drop in the bucket, but if that's happening there, I'm almost 100% that it's happening across all the sectors in City Hall. So, I mean, okay, so if that adds up.
But honestly, that is kind of the Elon Musk take, which is waste and abuse, waste, fraud, and abuse, waste, fraud, and abuse. And they went in there 100% certain and cut a whole bunch of jobs and didn't save any money because they end up paying all these people out to retire and all the lawsuits and
but they went in specifically to cut jobs. I'm not talking about
no, they
cutting
said
jobs.
They were going to cut they said they were going to cut fraud and abuse and waste, which is what politicians always say.
Yeah, they say it, but they don't actually have a plan for it. And then I feel like that was specifically to that point. I just personally feel that it was more of a political game, right? Like, I don't really feel that they went in there with, I mean, come on, you have a billionaire coming in to cut like public services and, benefit, probably benefit his company with the contracts that they had or maybe investigations that they had. I mean, it's apples and oranges again, because I'm talking about the everyday man actually being able to balance the budget and be able to say, hey, we actually might have enough money for all of these things. Because right now there's no insight. I mean, and the other reason that I know that there's probably money that is really waste, fraud, and abuse is because our own controller, City Hall, blocked him, and they had a whole thing of taking away powers from him from actually reviewing contracts and things that were being done in the city. I mean, I don't know if you heard about that, but
of course,
when I look at that, I'm like, okay, well, if they're doing that to him, what else are they hiding other than that $1 million bathroom? You know what I'm saying? So I think being able to have a complete reconcile and work hand in hand with an auditor and an independent auditor like the controller's office is where I would start and say, hey, now we know how much money we actually have to spend, and now we know where the contracts are going. Because another feature of my app is being able to look at the budget, but in a more concise way where the data is more accessible. Because I think what the controller has done so far is amazing, but it's not, my mom couldn't read his website. I want it to be super accessible from the palm of your hand. So you go into the app, you click, you see every dollar, every penny spent, every contract. And that way we know what we're talking about when we talk about budgets and these kinds of ideas that I have for like the fire, the people that went through the fires.
So again, back to the law enforcement only because when it comes to balancing the budget, I mean, you got to know that politicians, whether you agree with them or don't agree with them, are trying to figure out where to find money to cover this deficit, right? I don't think they're just like, oh, let's keep spending $1 million for bathrooms because people are trying to save jobs. If for no other reason than it's an election year, but generally we like to save people's jobs. So many times it comes down to where the rubber meets the road is law enforcement does eat up a huge portion of our city budget. Is that something you are interested in looking at as a possible place for trimming?
I don't know about trimming. I look at it more as reallocating our resources more in a smart way. So instead of saying like, well, first I'd start with the police commission because they have a lot of power for like oversight and those kinds of things. Making, people more, responsible and having those accountability essentially to be able to, dial back on those liability claims, I think would help a lot. But yeah, I would start there with the police commission, somebody that's more, people that are more aligned with where the public is.
But the police commission doesn't control the LAPD budget. They're supposed to be overseeing the LAPD, although their but actual powers are limited.
They're limited in that scope, but being able to present an LAPD budget that, being able to work with the commission to be able to hold the people accountable so that there isn't as many liability claims, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Okay. And again, those liabilities come out of the general fund, so that'd be great because it would free up dollars we could use for anything. But I'm not quite sure how a police commission can stop. The liability is mostly LAPD, but it's also sanitation. It's also, how does a police commission stop police from killing people and beating them up, which is what most of our liability comes from?
Yeah, there's no accountability. That's number one. We have to have, we also have to have a police chief that is going to also have that accountability for that department. As a Latino LGBT queer man, I still get shaky when I get pulled over, and it's a very real thing for a lot of minorities. And so how do we change that dynamic, right? It's like, do all of our police officers have to be armed? Could we take it and break it apart where we're having people that respond to, domestic disturbances that aren't armed police officers, or more focused on the mental health aspects of things? Do we also look at entitlements and, how do we reward people? Because you want to have a reward factor versus for people that are doing good job and then people that aren't doing a good job, and take a look at what that looks like, because, why are we paying for people that are not helping our communities, right? We should be paying for people that are protecting our communities and actually being able to show the receipts for that.
You say police chief. Are you in favor of changing the police chief?
I'm in favor of somebody that's in line with, who is going to be with where the public sentiment is now, which is, we need somebody that is really going to hold people accountable and do the things that are necessary to restructure and reform, some of these policies within the department.
You call yourself a systems guy. What do you mean by that?
Systems. Well, I know we talked off air about, coming from a creative field. Essentially, we're as creatives, we're always given really crappy budgets. We're expected to deliver $1 million, projects and launches and, international launches in some cases. So within that, we're always expected to hit all the touch points, right? So a systems person to me is somebody that can get us from point A to point Z and still hit every touch point in between and be able to problem solve before we go over budget, before, anybody drops the ball within any of those touch points. So that's what I mean when I say systems person.
Okay, when we come forward, I want to talk about micro-city stabilization, some of the ways that you're looking at dealing with the unhoused, which of course is one of the biggest, most important issues for Angelenos at this time still. We're talking with Bryant Acosta. He's running to be mayor of Los Angeles, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
More First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
Hi, I'm Fred Martin, founder of Compton Kids Club. I just want to talk about the authenticity and tell y'all about my homeboy, Tom Steyer. Tom is a rock star. When I met him, Tom gave a grant to schools in San Francisco. All the kids were on probation. We were flying instructors for 2 years to come and help those kids doing performing arts and turning their life around. Some of the kids that he supported, they've graduated from UCLA. Let's fast forward. Tom is in schools in Compton, hanging out with the kids in the piano classes. Brother Tom Steyer hangs out in the studio with us. These are the seeds that he's planted. This has nothing to do with elections. What's coming out of his mouth is not a campaign speech. It's authentic, and when he say he walks away from a business because he want to do his values, he ain't making that up because he's running for governor. This man is real.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive. The conversation continues right now with Dominic DePrima on First Things First.
Bryant Acosta is here. He's running for mayor of LA. We were talking off the air. One of the things you said your campaign is talking about that no one's talking about is the price gouging that goes on in entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Well, specifically with the monopolies. So I don't know if you heard about this, but Golden Voice and Ticketmaster just got lost in court.
Yes.
And the crazy thing to me, the slap in the face, was that they were actually were recorded laughing about, we can charge these people anything. Yeah. And so specifically as it relates to my business, we do events. We do all music, art, fashion. We do boutique festivals, and it's impossible to book talent. You have these giant monopolies that are literally, bogarting, the venue spaces, not just the private ones, but the public ones as well, because they have, contracts with the city. And so a lot of the people that are on the level that I'm at as producers and event coordinators, we're screwed, it's really hard to try to make any money. And, but it also kills creativity. I mean, how many cookie cutter festivals can you go to? It's the same shit every time now.
So what's the solution to that?
Well, I think that, the contracts are important, at least from the city's perspective, because they create jobs, they bring in money, they bring in tourism. But I imagined a world where we're like, okay, let's say you're Insomniac, right? And we're giving you the historic state park. I imagined a world where we have not travel. It's what is it called when tourism agency that focuses on piggybacking on these bigger things. So if you can imagine, cool, Insomniac, we're going to give you the historic state park, but we're going to package this as a city to include small businesses. So now we're creating a full weekend experience. Stay at this hotel, boutique hotel. Go to this, small business restaurant. Go to this record store. And now it becomes a full experience for tourism, and we're promoting it. But the trade-off would also be, okay, if we're going to do this, then you have to, as a corporation, give the after party to a smaller promoter, right? So they can now bring in their people and maximize their profits. And so looking at it more as an ecosystem as opposed to, oh, I get all the benefits and everything, which is what monopolies do. So if we're able to put it in those terms, everybody wins. The city wins, small business wins, and also the corporation wins.
Okay, let's pivot here a little bit to homelessness because time flies when you're on the radio. It sounds like you're talking about creating a campus.
Yes.
And moving people to a campus, which would have showers and medical care and food and security. But is that a forcible removal? Like, how do you get people to do that? Because one of the things we learned is one of the reasons people keep going back out on the streets because they want to be where they're used to being in terms of neighborhood geography.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very real thing and something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about because, you know, the humanitarian factor comes in, right? People are like, you can't force people. Well, I think that unless we have a bit of tough love, and the reason that I'm saying that is because I actually have a friend who has bipolar schizophrenia, was borderline homeless, and going through the motions with him really made me understand how broken that system is, because, you know, if you have a mental illness or substance abuse, to get to see, like, for example, for him to get in to see a doctor, it was make an appointment to see the nurse, make an appointment to see the doctor, make an appointment to get the actual medication. You're 2 weeks in at that point. And we're talking people that are going through a full mental psychosis, and they have a small window to be able to, you know, get the treatment that they need. And because there's no advocacy on the level of, you know, hand-holding that I was doing with one person, I feel that if that's happening to him, imagine how many more people that it's happening to in the city. And I really want to be the advocate for people where I want to take that and scale it up. So that's why I thought creating a campus where we're able to be the advocate for them, use something like California Cares Court to mandate that they go to these places. And then the tough love part is actually making sure that there's no more encampments and going phase by phase through the city so that we're basically cleaning up the city phase by phase, but also getting people the help that they need and addressing the root causes, as opposed to right now what we're doing is one size fits all solutions. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the model that we have now, and I know this because I have friends that work that are social workers, is they'll just take whoever, you know, move them around, but you'll have people with mental health issues, substance abuse issues. They're putting them into these, affordable housing units or apartments, and they're starting fires. They're bringing in drugs, trash, and so they become chronically homeless because then they get out on the street again. So my whole thing is, let's address everything at the root cause, and start there and have a bit of that tough love to be able to mandate people to take care of these services. Because I'll tell you what, my friend was not going to check himself into any of these hospitals to get the stabilization that he needed. And then the other part to it is the outpatient care. That's the part where I think we're failing people the most, because medication, I mean, we were on 5 different medications with him until he was able to finally find one that suited him, but it took a year. And so where's the help there? You know, that is, to me, the number one reason why people are chronically unhoused, at least in those 2 instances.
I mean, it sounds a little like Inside Safe, though.
Inside Safe?
The mayor's program Mayor Bass's program to bring people off the streets. And they go encampment by encampment. They try to find out what people need and see if they can take them off the streets.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's no large space that they're being processed organically, right? Because I think right now what I've seen is that they just pick people off randomly, or if they go encampment by encampment. I'm talking about taking 3,000 to 4,000 people off the street overnight. And so being able to have that kind of, visual is going to be strong, to be able to say, hey, we got this many people off. We have 3,000 to 4,000 beds available. We're going to process you in a way that's humane, fair, and put you in the space that you need to set you up for success. Because ultimately what I want to do is, instead of just throwing money at the issue and going through the rounds, is we want to have people put in the places so that they are getting the treatment that they need, and they're being set up to be put back into society in a way that they're contributing.
Bryant Acosta, time flies when you're on the radio. We've got 60 seconds here. What's your pitch, your elevator pitch, why we should vote for you?
Well, I think it's time for a next generation leader for Los Angeles. I'm not what has the giant, political status quo resume gotten us? I think we need somebody that has a lived-in experience with executive experience that is going to lead with heart and has a lot of bold new ideas. So check out my website, acostaforla.com.
Thank you so much for coming in. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you. You too.
Tavis Smiley's up next. You guys know that. You know that for sure. He will be bringing quite a show, as he usually does every day, so you do not want to miss that. Don't forget to tap in with me on my social media. I have a website too, DominiqueDePrima.com. I am on all of the platforms at DePrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. KBLA is at KBLA 1580 on every platform, including YouTube, where we're streaming right now. So please tap in, follow, like, subscribe. If you've missed any of our interviews, any of our podcasts, including my convo with Faith Evans, find them wherever you find your pods. Like my mama, the late, great Diane DePrima, used to say, history is now. Like I always say, we're making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Police are searching for 4 suspects linked to a series of hate crimes in Queens, New York. City Council Speaker Julie Menon condemned the acts.
We have a lot of work to do ahead, and this is why we fought so hard to pass this plan to combat anti-Semitism.
Swastikas and anti-Semitic graffiti were discovered at multiple sites in Rego Park and Forest Hills. President Trump is again taking aim at former President Barack